massive avalanche of ash from Mount Sinabung sweeps down across the landscape.
When it comes to dangerous places around the world, some are known for their treacherous landscapes, while others are infamous for the chaos that erupts in their streets. From cities where criminals face off with police in full-blown street battles, to regions constantly under the looming threat of an active volcano, these places will have you questioning how anyone dares to live there. Join us as we explore the top 20 most dangerous places in the world. Number 20. Haiti. Haiti, a Caribbean nation, is often described as one of the most impoverished and unstable countries in the world. The challenges here are many, from grinding poverty and political corruption to a devastating lack of resources. Natural disasters frequently strike, further eroding the country's fragile infrastructure. Earthquakes, hurricanes, and floods are regular occurrences that leave destruction in their wake. Port-au-Prince, the capital, epitomizes the struggles of Haiti's 11 million people. With over 2 million residents, including those in its sprawling suburbs, the city is marred by slum-like conditions. Roads are filled with trash, unplanned markets, and crumbling buildings. Gangs wield tremendous power here, controlling neighborhoods and instilling fear. Kidnappings, extortion, and violent crime are widespread, with the police often unable or unwilling to intervene. The influence of these criminal groups extends into politics, making meaningful reform a distant dream. Hunger and unemployment further worsen the dire conditions. While international organizations attempt to provide aid, the scale of need is overwhelming. For residents of Haiti, life is a daily fight for survival. But even in countries where wealth and resources are more abundant, such as the United States, there are cities where the specter of violence looms just as large. Number 19. St. Louis, USA. In the American Midwest, St. Louis has earned a reputation as one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. Despite its historical significance and cultural landmarks, the city struggles with pervasive violent crime. With a homicide rate that dwarfs national averages, St. Louis is a stark reminder of how urban decay and socio-economic inequality can fuel violence. The neighborhood of Peabody-Darst-Webby, located near the city center, is one of the most dangerous areas. Gang activity is rampant here, driven by the illegal drug trade. Clashes between rival groups often lead to deadly shootouts, claiming the lives of both gang members and innocent bystanders. In August 2021, a young man who witnessed a shooting was killed on a neighborhood street. A similar tragedy occurred in the spring of 2022, when a 14-year-old boy lost his life in gang violence while playing on a sports field. These incidents highlight the struggles faced by residents, where safety feels like an unattainable luxury. Since the mid-1990s, St. Louis has seen a 40% rise in crime, with no significant decline. Local authorities work tirelessly to combat the issue, but systemic problems make solutions elusive. From the violence of urban gangs to the devastating impact of natural disasters, the challenges of a state in Brazil take danger to a different dimension entirely. Number 18. Alagoas, Brazil. Alagoas, a state in northeastern Brazil, is a region of stark contrasts. Known for its breathtaking coastline and vibrant culture, it is also one of the most disaster-prone areas in the country. Floods and landslides are regular threats during the rainy season, often turning communities into scenes of chaos and despair. The region's geography worsens the problem. Steep hillsides, combined with rampant deforestation, make landslides particularly common after heavy rains. In urban areas, poorly planned construction on unstable slopes increases the risk, putting entire neighborhoods in harm's way. A devastating example occurred in 2010 when catastrophic floods and landslides killed over 200 people and displaced thousands. Climate change has only worsened the situation, leading to more unpredictable weather patterns and heavier rainfall. Local governments struggle to provide adequate disaster preparedness or relief, leaving residents vulnerable. Many families live in makeshift housing, which offers little protection against the elements. Beyond the physical destruction, these disasters have long-term economic and emotional impacts. Livelihoods are lost as farms are washed away, and rebuilding efforts can take years. Residents of Alagoas endure the looming threat of nature's fury with remarkable resilience. While natural disasters define life in Alagoas, other places face dangers of a different kind. The haunting silence of Pripyat reveals a tragedy born from humanity's technological ambitions gone wrong. Number 17. Pripyat, Ukraine. Pripyat, a ghost town in northern Ukraine, is a chilling monument to the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. Built in 1970 to house workers at the nearby nuclear power plant, it was once a thriving community of nearly 50,000 people. That all changed on April 26, 1986, when Reactor 4 exploded, releasing a massive amount of radiation into the atmosphere. The evacuation of Pripyat began the following day, leaving the city frozen in time. Decades later, its streets are eerily silent, with nature reclaiming the urban landscape. Vegetation grows through cracks in the pavement, and buildings crumble under the weight of years. Radiation levels in certain areas remain dangerous, making it impossible for people to live there. Visitors can now tour parts of the exclusion zone under strict guidelines, but safety precautions are vital. Radiation exposure is carefully monitored, and entry is restricted to specific areas deemed relatively safe. Scientists estimate it will take another 50 to 60 years for the region to be habitable again. Until then, Pripyat stands as a haunting reminder of the devastating consequences of nuclear accidents. From this abandoned city, we move to a vibrant yet perilous urban landscape in Mexico. Number 16. Tijuana, Mexico. Tijuana, located on Mexico's northwest border with the United States, is a city of dualities. Its stunning beaches and vibrant culture make it a potential tourist hotspot, but rampant crime has overshadowed its charm. With a murder rate of 105 per 100,000 residents annually, Tijuana is one of the most violent cities in the world. Cartels dominate the city, particularly in districts like Camino Verde, Zona Norte, and Sanchez Taboada. These areas are hubs for drug trafficking, human smuggling, and contract killings. Gang violence often erupts into public shootouts, leaving residents and tourists alike at risk. The brutality of these crimes is staggering. Victims are often tortured before being killed. Local authorities and police face immense challenges in controlling the violence. Corruption and limited resources make their efforts largely ineffective, and many citizens have little faith in the justice system. Despite this, Tijuana's residents continue to persevere, striving to maintain a sense of normalcy amidst the chaos. While Tijuana's turmoil is fueled by cartel dominance, another city reveals a different but equally harrowing story, one where economic collapse intertwines with unrelenting violence. Number 15. Acapulco, Mexico. Once the crown jewel of Mexican tourism, Acapulco was once a vibrant beach destination that drew stars like Elizabeth Taylor, Frank Sinatra, and Elvis Presley. Its golden beaches and luxurious resorts made it one of the world's most glamorous spots. However, this once thriving paradise is now known for its alarming crime rate, with a staggering 111 murders per 100,000 people, placing it among the most dangerous cities globally. Acapulco's streets are controlled by ruthless gangs like Los Locos and 221, who rule entire neighborhoods with violence and fear. These groups engage in a wide range of criminal activities, including kidnappings, assassinations, extortion, and car theft. The violence has turned the city into a war zone, where residents and tourists alike live in constant danger. Tourism, once the heart of the city's economy, has plummeted. Luxury hotels sit half empty, and small businesses are forced to pay for protection or face closure. The once thriving beachfront now feels like a shadow of its former self, with many areas becoming no-go zones after dark. Local police forces, often undermanned and outgunned, struggle to maintain any semblance of control. Bulletproof vehicles have become a necessity for visitors, and many locals feel trapped in a cycle of poverty and insecurity. Despite the overwhelming violence, Acapulco's stunning coastline and iconic sunsets remain a reminder of the city's lost grandeur and its tragic fall from grace. But while Acapulco's turmoil stems from gang warfare, another city shows how economic collapse fuels unrelenting violence. Number 14. Caracas, Venezuela. Caracas, with a murder rate of 100 per 100 people, is one of the most dangerous cities in the world. The city's downfall is rooted in a complex mix of crippling poverty, government corruption, and unchecked gang violence. Organized crime syndicates rule the streets with impunity, controlling everything from drug trafficking to extortion. Armed robberies, kidnappings, and violent home invasions are common, and the brutality of these crimes often results in victims being harmed or killed even after complying with demands. The rise of sicarios, or hitmen, has made the streets even more perilous, and random shootings have become increasingly frequent. The ongoing economic collapse has worsened the crisis. With inflation rates skyrocketing, many Venezuelans struggle to afford basic goods, pushing more individuals into desperate criminal activities. Public spaces, such as buses and metro stations, are rife with pickpockets and muggers. Carjackings are frequent, and assaults occur regularly, even in broad daylight. No one, not even tourists, is safe from the ever-present threat of violence. The police force is severely underfunded and ill-equipped to deal with the escalating crime wave. Officers are often overwhelmed by the sheer volume of incidents, and corruption within the system hinders any progress. Despite its ongoing turmoil, Caracas once had a reputation as a city of vibrant culture and beauty, home to rich traditions in music, art, and nightlife. Today, that legacy is overshadowed by a harsh reality of fear and instability. As the Venezuelan capital struggles with its man-made crisis, another danger emerges in Indonesia, where pollution has created an environmental nightmare. Number 13. Sitaram River, Indonesia. The Sitaram River, located in West Java, Indonesia, is infamous for being the most polluted river in the world. Spanning over 300 kilometers, it serves as a crucial water source for approximately 5 million people, yet it has become a toxic wasteland. The river is heavily contaminated by industrial waste, with textile factories being the primary offenders. These factories discharge untreated chemicals into the water, including toxic heavy metals like lead, cadmium, and mercury, which exceed safe levels by up to 1,000 times. The river is also plagued by excessive fecal bacteria, with concentrations 5,000 times higher than what is considered safe for human contact. This has made the river not only dangerous for humans, but also a death sentence for aquatic life. The effects on the local population are dire. Many communities depend on the river for drinking, cooking, and washing, but the pollution has led to widespread health issues. Residents suffer from diseases like skin infections, cancer, and respiratory problems. Children, in particular, are affected by developmental delays. Over 60% of the river's fish population has disappeared, further harming the local fishing industry and biodiversity. In response, the Asian Development Bank allocated $500 million to a cleanup effort, but progress has been slow. Illegal industrial discharges and lack of enforcement continue to thwart these efforts. Once a vital lifeline for the people, the Sitaram River now threatens their health and survival. But while pollution grips Indonesia, in the United States, Detroit faces a different type of struggle, one rooted in economic collapse and crime. Number 12. Detroit, USA. Detroit, once known as the Motor City and the heart of America's automotive industry, has transformed from a thriving metropolis into a cautionary tale of urban decay. The city's downfall began after the 1973 oil crisis, which hit the automobile industry hard, leading to factory closures, mass unemployment, and a steady exodus of residents. By the 1980s, the city was already grappling with a shrinking population, and in 2013, Detroit became the largest U.S. city to file for bankruptcy. Today, with a population of just over 600,000, the once bustling city is a shell of its former self, plagued by economic hardship and social challenges. Entire neighborhoods have been abandoned, leaving vacant homes and crumbling infrastructure as stark reminders of Detroit's past. The district of Fiscorn is particularly notorious, with crime rates that shock even the most hardened locals. Violent crimes such as robberies, homicides, and assaults occur with disturbing frequency, leaving residents in constant fear for their safety. Law enforcement is severely underfunded and overwhelmed by the sheer volume of criminal activity. making it nearly impossible to ensure public safety in many areas. While some efforts to revitalize the city show promise, with new businesses and community projects slowly taking root, the scars of poverty, crime, and unemployment remain. Detroit stands as a grim reminder of what can happen when prosperity slips away. Yet, while Detroit's decline is man-made, the dangers of an island in India stem from a world untouched by modern society. Number 11. North Sentinel Island, India. North Sentinel Island, located in the Bay of Bengal, is one of the most isolated and mysterious places on Earth. It is home to the Sentinelese tribe, one of the last groups on the planet living in complete isolation from modern civilization. The island has been off-limits to outsiders for centuries, as the Sentinelese fiercely protect their territory. Any attempt to approach is met with hostility, with the tribe attacking with bows, arrows, and spears, making the island one of the most dangerous places to visit. Believed to have lived on North Sentinel for around 30,000 years, the tribe has had little to no contact with the outside world. Surrounded by coral reefs and dense jungle, the island is difficult to access by boat. Most of what is known about the tribe comes from brief, often hostile encounters with outsiders. Aerial surveys have been conducted, but the dense jungle canopy and the tribe's avoidance of outsiders limit any substantial understanding of their daily life. The Sentinelese are hunter-gatherers, relying on the island's resources for survival. Their lack of immunity to modern diseases makes them particularly vulnerable to outside contact, which could easily lead to devastating consequences. As a result, the Indian government has declared the island a protected area, prohibiting anyone from landing. This isolation, along with the tribe's fierce protection of their land, ensures that North Sentinel Island remains one of the last truly untouched places on Earth. Number 10. Ciudad Victoria, Mexico. Ciudad Victoria is one of the most dangerous cities in Mexico, with a murder rate of 86 per 100,000 residents. The violence in the city is primarily driven by brutal shootouts between rival drug cartels. These criminal organizations are fighting for control over the lucrative drug trade routes that pass through the region, making Ciudad Victoria a hotspot for conflict. The battles between these cartels often spill into public spaces, putting the lives of innocent civilians at risk. In addition to cartel violence, organized criminal groups engage in other illegal activities, such as extortion, kidnapping, and robbery, further destabilizing the city. Prison violence is another major issue in Ciudad Victoria. Inmates regularly clash with each other and corrupt prison officials, fueling more violence and chaos both inside and outside prison walls. The presence of these gangs within the prison system makes it difficult for authorities to restore order in the city. Residents live in constant fear of becoming victims of violence, with many feeling powerless against the widespread lawlessness. Although the city remains a crucial economic center in the region, especially for agriculture and commerce, its high crime rate and lack of effective law enforcement make it an increasingly dangerous place to live. Despite efforts from local authorities, the situation remains dire for those living in the city. Moving further north in Guanajuato, another city battles with its own security issues. Number 9. Celaya, Guanajuato, Mexico. Celaya, located in the heart of Mexico's Guanajuato state, is experiencing a surge in violence. Known for its beautiful architecture and rich history, it has become a battleground for cartels fighting for territory. Over the past few years, homicides, robberies, and extortions have skyrocketed. Cartels operating in the region have turned Celaya into a hub for drug trafficking, and rival groups are often involved in violent confrontations. Locals live in fear, as drive-by shootings and violent crimes have become common. Many businesses have closed due to extortion demands, and the city's once thriving economy is now hindered by insecurity. While the nearby town of San Miguel de Allende remains a safer option, the entire state of Guanajuato is considered a danger zone by the US State Department. While crime thrives in Guanajuato, there's another kind of danger on the horizon, a threat that comes from deep within the earth. This brings us to Mount Sinabung in Indonesia. Number 8. Mount Sinabung, Indonesia. Mount Sinabung, located in northern Sumatra, Indonesia, is an active stratovolcano that poses a constant threat to nearby communities. For centuries, locals lived in relative peace, unaware of the catastrophic potential lurking beneath the surface. This changed in August 2010, when the volcano erupted violently for the first time in over 400 years. The eruption unleashed massive ash clouds, lava flows, and pyroclastic flows, marking the beginning of an ongoing series of eruptions that have continued to this day. Since then, Sinabung has erupted numerous times, with some eruptions sending volcanic ash and hot gas columns up to 3 kilometers into the air. These eruptions have devastated nearby villages, forcing around 20,000 people to flee their homes and seek refuge in safer areas. The surrounding region, once bustling with life, has become increasingly desolate, with entire villages abandoned due to the ongoing danger. The unpredictability of Sinabung's eruptions means that residents live in a constant state of uncertainty, never knowing when the next eruption will occur. The Indonesian government has set up evacuation plans and has assisted displaced residents, but the risk remains high. Despite these efforts, no guarantees of safety exist in this volatile area. The ever-present threat of volcanic activity serves as a daily reminder of nature's raw power and the fragility of life in this region. Meanwhile, in Brazil, another city faces a different type of peril. Number 7. Natal Brazil. Natal, a vibrant city located in northeastern Brazil, is known for its beautiful beaches and thriving tourism industry. However, behind its picturesque coastline lies a harsh reality. With a murder rate of 75 per 100,000 people, it has gained a reputation as one of the most dangerous cities in Brazil. The primary driver of this violence is gang warfare, with organized criminal groups battling for control of lucrative drug trade routes. These groups are involved in a range of violent activities, including robberies, kidnappings, and carjackings, which contribute to the city's atmosphere of fear and insecurity. While Natal's natural beauty continues to draw tourists from around the world, locals live in constant anxiety due to the escalating crime rate. Poverty and high unemployment levels create a breeding ground for criminal activity, as many individuals turn to illegal enterprises as a means of survival. In addition, limited police resources and insufficient law enforcement have made it difficult to combat the growing violence. The local government has taken steps to address these issues, implementing security measures and working to improve public safety. But progress has been slow. For the residents of Natal, the allure of the city's tourism sector often stands in stark contrast to the harsh realities of daily life. Despite its efforts to curb crime, the city remains a place where fear is a constant companion for many of its citizens. Now let's head to a city in Africa with one of the highest crime indices in the continent. Number 6. Pietermaritzburg, South Africa. Pietermaritzburg, a city in South Africa, has one of the highest crime indexes in Africa. In 2024, it ranked first in the region for violent crime, including muggings, carjackings, and burglaries. Poverty, unemployment, and a lack of resources for law enforcement have led to widespread insecurity. With a significant portion of the population struggling with economic hardship, desperate individuals often turn to crime. The city also faces issues with gang violence, as criminal groups fight for control of illegal activities such as drug trafficking. The local government has implemented some safety measures, but these efforts are often undermined by a lack of manpower and funding. Residents live under constant threat, and many businesses have been forced to close or limit their hours due to the dangers posed by criminals. Despite its historical significance and cultural richness, Pietermaritzburg has become a city where safety is far from guaranteed. Number 5. Amazon River, South America. The Amazon River is one of the most remarkable natural features on Earth. Flowing across South America, it covers an area larger than many countries, with its basin stretching over 6 million square kilometers. This river is essential to the world's climate and is the lifeblood of the Amazon rainforest, which is home to an astonishing range of species, many of which are dangerous to humans. The region's wildlife includes aggressive predators like jaguars, piranhas, and the black caiman, a giant crocodilian that can grow over 4 meters long. In addition, venomous snakes such as the bushmaster and the fer de lance lurk in the dense vegetation. While the river itself seems peaceful, its currents can be treacherous, and its waters are infested with dangerous creatures. The environment is humid, with high temperatures, and sudden rainfall can turn the terrain into a dangerous maze. Adventurers must also be wary of diseases like malaria and yellow fever, which are prevalent in the area. The Amazon's remote location makes it a challenge to access, but the danger is not just from its wildlife. It's also from the isolation, which can make rescue efforts slow. Even for the indigenous people who have lived in the region for centuries, survival in this natural wonder is far from easy. From the perilous Amazon, we move from the depths of nature to the dangers of city life, where crime and chaos can also present serious risks to residents. Number 4. Johannesburg, South Africa. Johannesburg, South Africa's largest city, is a place of stark contrasts. It is a bustling metropolis filled with shopping malls, busy streets, and a thriving economy. But behind its modern facade lies one of the most dangerous urban environments in the world. This city has an alarming crime rate, with violent crimes like robbery, assault, and murder a daily concern. Areas like Hillbrow, a district that has long been plagued by poverty and unemployment, are particularly dangerous. In the 1980s, Hillbrow saw a rapid influx of people looking for work, but with the city unable to provide enough jobs, crime began to spiral. Today, it is home to one of the highest crime rates in the world. Gangs control parts of the district, and shootouts between criminals and law enforcement are not uncommon. The lack of proper infrastructure, combined with overcrowding and a lack of opportunities, creates a volatile mix. Despite efforts by the government to improve conditions, Hillbrow remains a place where survival is a daily struggle. The violence and desperation in these communities are heartbreaking, and for many, leaving the area is the only hope for a better life. However, this grim situation is not confined to Hillbrow alone. The rest of Johannesburg, while slightly safer, still struggles with its own share of criminal activity. As we shift to another country, we find that the combination of poverty and violence also makes certain parts of Rio de Janeiro a similarly dangerous place to live. Number 3. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil is world-renowned for its beautiful beaches, vibrant culture, and famous carnival celebrations. But hidden beneath this colorful exterior lies an entirely different side of the city, one marked by violence and crime. The city is home to several favelas, or slums, where poverty and criminal gangs rule the streets. Complexo de Alemão, one of the largest and most infamous favelas, is a hotbed of gang activity, with drug cartels controlling the area. Shootouts between rival gangs and police are common, making it incredibly dangerous for residents. Civilians live in constant fear, and many avoid leaving their homes unless absolutely necessary. In 2021, a police raid in the area led to the deaths of 28 people, demonstrating the extreme level of violence present. Despite police operations aimed at dismantling criminal networks, the gangs continue to hold power in these areas, and the cycle of violence seems unbreakable. While Rio's crime is largely concentrated in certain areas, there are places in the world where nature itself presents extreme dangers. Number 2. Danakil Depression, Afar Basin. Located in the northern Afar Basin on the border between Ethiopia and Eritrea, the Danakil Depression is one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Stretching over 250 kilometers in length, this region sits 100 meters below sea level and is the hottest place on Earth based on average yearly temperatures. With temperatures regularly surpassing 34 degrees, this desolate land is known for its volcanic activity, acidic lakes, geysers, and salt flats. It is so inhospitable that even the few species of animals and plants that manage to survive here have adapted to the extreme conditions. The air is thick with the smell of sulfur due to the volcanic and geothermal activity, and the terrain is treacherous, with vast salt flats that can be deadly to those unprepared. The region is home to the Afar people, who have managed to live in this harsh environment for centuries, but even they face great challenges. Toxic lakes that appear colorful are actually deadly to animals that try to drink from them. The danger is not only from nature's wrath, but from the difficult access to the region, as rescue operations are nearly impossible. Scientists who study the area often describe it as a realm of death. From these volcanic hellscapes, we shift to a city where violence, not nature, makes it one of the most dangerous places to live. San Pedro Sula. Number 1. San Pedro Sula, Honduras. San Pedro Sula, located in Honduras, is notorious for being one of the most dangerous cities in the world. Known as the murder capital of the world, for several years, it has a staggering homicide rate, with over 85 murders per 100,000 people. The city is plagued by gang violence, drug trafficking, and poverty. Its problems have deep roots in the country's socio-economic struggles, with corruption, unemployment, and a lack of opportunity fueling criminal activity. The Rio Blanco district, in particular, is infamous for being the center of gang activity. Here, residents live in constant fear of violence, and criminal groups operate with impunity. Shootouts between rival gangs are a common occurrence, and innocent bystanders often get caught in the crossfire. Local law enforcement is overwhelmed and, in many cases, complicit in the violence, as corruption runs deep within the system. Despite efforts by the government and international organizations to reduce crime, San Pedro Sula continues to suffer from an ongoing crisis. The city's infrastructure is crumbling, and poverty remains widespread. Many residents feel trapped, unable to escape the violence that defines their daily lives. As long as the conditions that allow crime to thrive persist, San Pedro Sula will remain one of the most dangerous cities on the planet. Given the extreme dangers faced by people in these places, what do you think can be done to improve safety and living conditions in such high-risk areas?